Welcome to Freaks and Creeks, a Dawson's Creek podcast, the show where four millennials who missed the boat 25 years ago take the dive for the first time. Join us as we experience the series with a fresh perspective week to week and see if our adolescent experiences match up with Dawson and the gang. My name is Cody.
I'm Stella.
I'm Mallory.
And I am James. Before we get started, let's check in with Capeside correspondents for the news of the week.
Yeah, we got a little tweet from friend of the show, Heather, who shouted us out and said, I need more people to follow me on this chaotic journey. Thank you, Heather. Let's get people into the show. You're the best. And also, thank you so much, every listener out there who rated us on Spotify. We have already, at the time of this recording, have received 12 ratings in the last week, and we have an average rating of 4.7. And it's all due to you. Thank you so much, various listeners.
Yeah, thank you all. We went from not being rated on the show or on that platform at all to now having a rating. It's going to help people find the show, so you are helping. And if you haven't rated us out there, go ahead and do it now. It's super easy. But with that out of the way, this week we are going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 8, Boyfriend, also known as Escape from New York, which I guess, let's really quickly, this isn't something we haven't really talked about too much in the show so far, but in Season 1, they actually had these alternate titles which came out when they initially aired the show, and all of them are referential to some kind of film. In this case, the film that they're referencing is Escape from New York, which I think is kind of fun. This episode was released on episode 10th. Episode 10th? It was
my favorite month.
It was released on March 10th, 1998. And the synopsis is Jen's old boyfriend arrives unexpectedly and Dawson's parents struggle with their relationship. It's written by John Harmon Feldman and Dana Barada and directed by Michael Fields. And this episode really, it just has a little bit of everything. It's got incredible needle drops. I thought the music in this episode was amazing. Probably the best music we've had so far. It's got 90s teen life documentary footage. I'm pretty sure every scene in this show is straight out of real life. There's a character that's somehow less likable than Pacey. I didn't think that was possible. Dawson gets his heart broken, absolutely amazing. And then the emergence of Pacey as an actual likable character. I don't know, what did you guys think about this episode?
I really enjoyed this episode. We are finally getting some more character development for Pacey. I'm beginning to understand where his arc might be going and why people like him so much. Also, I was re-listening to episode 6, our episode 6, Baby, the other day, and we were very much anticipating Joey being cool Auntie Joey. Well, we were so wrong because we're getting petulant and angsty Auntie Joey. I thought that was kind of funny. It is also pretty accurate considering she's only in high school and she's living in a small house with a newborn. I think our hopes were a little too high there.
Yeah.
Also, another thing I thought was fun was the costume department really upped their game with the styles that the male characters are wearing in this episode. So I'm excited to talk about that. There were lots of stylish, cozy sweaters, lots of leather, some corduroy.
Lots of leather.
Yeah.
Call me a leather daddy.
I did not love this episode. I thought it was kind of a dud. Up until the last 10 minutes, I was like pretty into it. And I did love seeing Pacey become more likable / I might be in love with Pacey.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can talk about that later.
Yeah, I wanted to rewind a little bit because the last episode that we watched was called Detention / Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club thing makes sense because it's in reference to that, but this being called Escape from New York.
No sense.
If you've seen that John Carpenter movie, the post-apocalyptic gang murder movie where people are placed on Manhattan and it's a futuristic prison. Does not have anything to do with this. And I wonder if they dropped doing that from season 1 because the Canadian teen drama show Degrassi names all their episodes after 80s songs.
Oh,
so I
cool.
wonder if Dawson's Creek was like, yeah, we're just going to do the exact same thing,
Right.
but for movies, and then realize bad idea.
And it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but I just want to say I love this episode. This is like another like banger after banger after banger, but this felt the most fleshed out for these characters, and it seemed like their beats made sense. Like people have their own agency, and I think my problem up to this episode is that everyone exists for Dawson's development, and that development went nowhere. Like he would get challenges, but it never amounted to anything. It was just for the sake of having something happen on the show. Whereas this, it seemed like everyone was living their own lives, and they actually had things that made them who they were, instead of just building up Dawson. So I'm super on board with this. I feel like this episode actually made me a fan of Dawson's Creek. Whereas before that, I was just like, yeah, this is a stupid show with funny hair. So,
Were you about to say something, Stella?
Yeah, I was just wondering if we know if there's any Canadian connection with Dawson's Creek. I wonder. Because we were with my family the other day, and my cousin thought that this was a Canadian show. And then the other song was from a Canadian artist. So I just wonder what the...
Jan Arden.
Yeah, Jan Arden. So,
Yeah. Huh.
I didn't think it was a Canadian show. I mean, it was filmed in North Carolina.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know why
There seems to be a thread there, and I don't know what the connective tissue is, but I agree there's something. If somebody could explain it to us, please let us know. Like, is one of the actors secretly Canadian? Like, very proudly Canadian?
Maybe we'll do some research and get back to you on next week's Capeside correspondence.
Hey, listen in.
Busy Phillips is Canadian, right? Is she not?
She could be. I don't know.
She's not in the show yet, but I know she comes on later. And I know Freaks and Geeks, which is our namesake, Freaks and Geeks, I believe, was a Canadian production because there's a ton of Canadians in that show. So
Apparently, Busy Phillips is an American actress. So
okay, well, never mind.
Dang.
We'll look into it.
We'll figure it out.
Let's rewind and do another Capeside correspondence correction corner. I am a moron.
Nobody's a moron here, Cody.
Okay, I'm the smartest man alive.
Do you guys know what the number one song on the U.S. pop charts was in the week of March 10th, 1998?
Please say it's "Damn It" by Blink-182.
I wish it was. It actually came out the year before, which blew my mind. When that song comes up in this episode, I was like, holy fuck. Any guesses?
1998?
March 10th, 1998, that week. It's a very recognizable song, and you all will scream when you find out.
Have we already talked about "Believe" by Cher? Was that a number one
We
song?
have.
Like,
It
shit.
is, but not yet.
Trying to
That's in,
think about
November.
like when Britney and NSYNC were big. I feel like
Thing that's getting a little bit closer. Listeners at home, go ahead and shout it into your phones right now. We'll wait. It is "Getting Jiggy With It" by Will Smith.
Oh my gosh.
damn.
Yeah, right?
Never hear that song anymore.
I wonder why.
Wow.
I just thought that was funny. We haven't revisited this in a long time, and it's because the information hasn't really changed. But the top film of this week is also Titanic, which was the top film on the pilot episode release date. It's been the top film for almost the entire year at this point in time in 1998. But I do believe that soon we are going to be having that upended, and a new movie is going to be on the top of the box office charts. So keep an eye out, or ear.
Man, I can't wait to find out what finally toppled Titanic at the box
Right?
office. I mean, I know Titanic was number one for like 3 or 4 straight months.
Yeah.
Man,
Like Christmas to April.
yeah. Unreal.
James, what did you think of this episode?
I loved this episode. I definitely thought that there were moments that were not the best. I kind of agree with you. Like at first I was like, oh, this is kind of a dud. There wasn't a whole lot going on in the beginning that really gripped me. But once we got to the house party scene, I feel like that is literally all we have been asking for from this show, is to see these characters interacting with their peers and interacting in a non-contrived way, right? Like we're actually seeing these characters interact with real people. That said, what really did this episode in for me was the development of Pacey as a likable character. I'm coming around on him. I don't know if what we're all gonna say when we get there. I kind of want to be surprised when we get to that discussion, but yeah. I think that for anybody who has been disappointed in all the Pacey hate that we've been spewing out so far, maybe things will start to change. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm really excited to hear from all of our perspectives when the moment was that we fell in love with Pacey,
Yeah.
because I feel like we're all going to have a different moment.
Totally.
Is where we fell. I certainly know what mine is.
Me too.
Also, just going back earlier to what I said about like all these characters feeling like they have agency, it's funny too because Billy, who I know we're gonna have a lot to say about, does not even like, he seems like a character that would have been like from 4 episodes ago. Like he clearly is just an antagonist, and there's nothing else there. He is a shell of a person. He's only there to create chaos. Whereas like Abby Morgan from the last episode seemed like a real character while also being an antagonist. Like at least like her mustache twirling had some charisma. And she was chewing scenery, whereas Billy is just there to be a stain on everybody's lives.
And look cool.
It looked super cool. What a cool
Somebody.
car.
Anybody have any final thoughts before we get into the scene by scene? I'm so excited to talk about this episode.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it, Cody.
As Dawson exhausts all possible channels from his basic cable lineup, Joey pops into his room, ready to vent about the screams of her freshly born nephew keeping her up every night. Dawson offers a slumber party, and Joey accepts. She notices he's watching an old Gary Cooper movie and complains that he's boring, to which Dawson expresses admiration for his quote-unquote nice guy vibes, rightfully putting Joey right to sleep.
I guess in every opening scene, Joey and Dawson have been there together. So this was like the first time that wasn't the case. Joey like came in, but it was weird to see Dawson by himself going through the channels.
I agree.
It was fun to hear his comments of like as he flipped through each one, you know.
What did you all think about him getting to the porn
The scrambled.
interception? And what did you all think about that? I have a lot of thoughts on that, but basically what happens, he gets to this porn channel, he looks confused, like he looks genuinely confused, as if he's like, what's happening here? You can hear vague sexual sounds. Like it's obvious to anybody who has seen porn that it's porn, but for some reason Dawson seems a little bit confused. And then he flips the channel disinterested to whatever comes up next. And that's when Joey comes in. What did you all think about that little moment?
That wasn't my impression was, I thought he said adult channel.
He did. He said, quote, adult movie channel scrambled. And then he took a moment to try to make something out of the scramble.
Yeah, I thought he had like a little smile on his face and was trying to like look like he tilted his head and was trying to figure out if he could like make any sense of what was happening in
That's
the
funny.
And then he kind of gave up on it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, those wheels
Yeah.
turning were him being like, can I jerk off to fuzzy nipple? And he decided, no, I can't.
Yeah, wow, I completely misread that. I was just like, he just looks confused, and then he's moving on to the next thing. Which
Can you
to
imagine if he had done that and Joey walks there? Joey comes
yeah.
in?
I mean, that's where I kind of thought it was going to go. I had this feeling that somebody's going to walk in on him in this moment, whoever it's going to be, I'm not sure. And when it got to that point, I was like, it's either Joey or it's his mom walking in on him. And then neither of those things comes true. So I'm just wrong. First time in my life. I'm so sorry.
Does anyone want to role play what that scene would have been like if Joey had walked in while he's masturbating to scrambled porn?
Oh, God.
I imagine Joey would say something like, at least it's not the E.T. doll again.
Oh, wow. Speaking of that E.T. doll, that thing's fucking creepy looking.
Yeah. Gets a lot of flack this
The
episode.
collector's item. I do have something to say about Joey here. I thought the makeup department went the extra mile with her dark
Definitely.
under eye circles. They gave her some tired eyes.
She looked
for
like she was
sure.
wearing death paint from
Yes,
like a black
yes.
metal
Yeah.
concert.
Yeah, there are several scenes in this episode where either they kept her up for 48 hours before filming, which you never know, or they did a really good job in the makeup department because she just looks exhausted, and she nails the acting exhausted too. I thought this is like a standout Joey episode, secret star.
I wonder if she's a method actor. Was she getting drunk for this performance? Was she staying up all night for this performance? Who knows? Also, just want to say that I love right off the bat, we know Dawson has an issue with his naivete about life and relationships, but this solidified it where we're really getting into the nitty gritty of nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, just go on Reddit, nice guy, and just like see how many people like fit the mold of this idea of like women need to want to be with me because I'm a nice guy. And it's a very toxic masculine trait.
Definitely.
And that the nice guy finishes last.
Yes, it's grotesque, and I
Yeah.
loved like they're really spelling it out for us, and
Yeah.
that made me really appreciate it. So
Yeah.
from here on out,
Oh, another thing I noticed for Joey was in the first scene, we see her fall asleep. We also, she's also